16-year-old Tina Bowen lived with her father and older sister Kathy in Pepperell, Massachusetts. During Easter break, a few months after losing her mother to cancer in 1986, Tina received a phone call from Daniel LaPlante, a boy from her school. Daniel claimed to have obtained her number from a mutual friend and said he lived nearby. Over time, Tina and Daniel grew close through the frequent phone conversations, and she found some comfort in a new friend amidst her grief. This led to them meeting for a date at the local fair. However, things quickly became uncomfortable for Tina. Daniel seemed completely different than he did over the phone. Tina found his interest in her mother's recent death odd, and his persistent questions unsettling. She politely hurried through the date and made her way home. Upon returning to school after the Easter break, Tina received some upsetting news from a fellow student. The student told Tina that he'd spotted her and Daniel at the fair, and that Daniel was currently facing rape charges. Naturally, Tina kept a distance from Daniel at school, and told her father, Frank Bowen, about what happened. Frank forbade Tina from continuing to see Daniel, but unfortunately for the Bowen family, Tina had already made quite the impression. Daniel LaPlante was born in Townsend, Massachusetts on May 15, 1970. He reportedly endured severe sexual and psychological abuse during his childhood from his father and later as a teenager from his psychiatrist. LaPlante grew up in a chaotic environment, with his family's home and surrounding area filled with junk and old cars. He attended St. Bernard's High School in Fitchburg, where both students and teachers described him as a loner and unfriendly. During the 1980s, a neighbour became worried about LaPlante's frequent solitary trips to the woods behind his house. They would frequently see him walking out there by himself. At the age of 15, LaPlante, who had been diagnosed with hyperactive disorder by the same psychiatrist who abused him, turned to theft in the neighbourhood. Daniel would soon use his skills as a thief once more. During the late autumn of 1986, Daniel LaPlante successfully entered the Bowen residence at 93 Lawrence Street in Pepperell near Townsend. Hiding within a narrow crawl space no wider than 6 inches, he began inflicting psychological torment on the family. After witnessing Tina and her sister attempting to communicate with their recently deceased mother using a Ouija board, LaPlante began acting like a ghost. He changed TV channels, rearranged items, drank the family's milk, emptied bottles of alcohol without drinking them, and left disturbing messages like "Marry me" and "I'm in your room, come and find me" on the walls using mayonnaise and ketchup. A knife was even discovered pinned in a family photograph to the wall. Although Frank Bowen initially thought his daughters were playing pranks on each other, he soon discovered the reality was much more sinister. On December 8th, 1986, the girls returned home to find evidence that someone had used their toilet. Following a search by Frank Bowen, LaPlante was found hiding in a wardrobe with his face painted, wearing a Native American-style jacket and some sort of ninja mask, wielding a hatchet. LaPlante quickly ushered them into a bedroom before vanishing somewhere within the house. Tina Bowen managed to escape through a window and contacted the authorities, who located LaPlante 2 days later in the cellar of the residence. Concealed in a triangular space in a corner, enclosed by the concrete foundation and an inner wall on 2 sides, it was evident that LaPlante had been residing there for weeks. After being apprehended at the Bowen residence, LaPlante was detained in a juvenile facility until October 1987, when his mother secured his $10,000 bail by remortgaging her house. Just 2 months later, he committed his most heinous crime to date. While awaiting trial, LaPlante relocated and continued his daytime burglary activities. On October 14th, 1987, he stole 2 firearms from a nearby residence. Subsequently, on November 16, 1987, LaPlante burglarized the home of the Gustafson family, consisting of pregnant nursery school teacher Priscilla Gustafson, her spouse Andrew, and their 2 children, 5-year-old William and 7-year-old Abigail. However, this was not the final instance LaPlante trespassed into their residence. On December 1st, 1987, LaPlante traversed the woods between his house and the Gustafsons, armed with a firearm. He later claimed he did not anticipate Priscilla and her children returning home. The events that followed became a nightmare for the family. Retired Pepperell Lieutenant Thomas Lane reported that LaPlante contemplated fleeing by jumping out the window. Instead, he confronted Priscilla with the firearm, ushered her and her son into the bedroom, placed William in the closet, and bound Priscilla to the bed using makeshift restraints and gagging her with one of his socks. After sexually assaulting Priscilla, LaPlante shot her twice in the head. He proceeded to take William to the bathroom and drowned him. Upon leaving, he encountered 7-year-old Abigail Gustafson, who had arrived home on the school bus. He enticed Abigail into another bathroom, where he also drowned her. Following these horrific acts, LaPlante returned home and even attended his niece's birthday party later that evening. Meanwhile, Andrew Gustafson had been trying to reach his wife all afternoon. Upon returning to his strangely quiet house with no lights on, Gustafson was filled with dread. He discovered his wife's lifeless body lying face down on the bedspread. Hastily, he left the house and contacted the authorities. Gustafson later admitted that he was too terrified to search for the children, fearing the worst. According to official records, LaPlante was easily linked to the crime through forensic evidence. Law enforcement officers discovered the shirt and gloves he used to drown the children in the woods behind the Gustafson residence, still damp. Following the scent of the shirt, police dogs tracked through the woods and came within 3 to 4 feet of LaPlante's residence. The night after the Gustafson murders, LaPlante was questioned. Despite insufficient evidence for an immediate arrest, authorities planned to return the next day. However, LaPlante fled, leading to an extensive manhunt. After a series of burglaries in Pepperell, LaPlante was apprehended while hiding in a dumpster on the evening of December 3rd, 1987, 3 days after the murders. LaPlante faced trial for the Gustafson murders in October 1988, where he received 3 life sentences. Disturbingly, this was not the conclusion of his tale. In 2017, LaPlante sought a reduced sentence, but the judge determined that he showed no remorse for his actions. Consequently, the judge upheld LaPlante's 3 consecutive life sentences. At the time of this video, he'll be eligible for parole in 44 years. If you've made it this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time you hear a bump in the night, make sure you check inside the walls.